Just a heads up, SquareEnix provided me with a free code for Romancing Saga 2 Revenge of the Seven. Thank you Square, I appreciate it. Now, on to the video.
Ready?
When I first saw the initial trailer for Romancing Saga 2 remake, I was very intrigued, like more than I probably should have, considering what little experience I have with this series. Outside of the Final Fantasy Legend games on Game Boy, I totally missed out on the entire Saga franchise. I knew almost nothing about the series and what it evolved into. Then I played the first Saga Frontier, which I reviewed earlier this year, and I really enjoyed its non-linear storytelling and its superb turn-based combat. Then I played the Saga Emerald Beyond demo, and I don't know what the fuck was up with that piece of crap. Those god-awful character models still give me fucking nightmares. I personally felt I experienced two different ends of the Saga spectrum, and I'll be honest, I thought the series was just dead. Doomed to a life of cheap design and some piss-poor hybrid of a visual novel and a mobile game, all while the fanbase seems just content with what they're given. But I should know by now that there is no series too far gone for Square to go back to and remake. Romancing Saga 2 Revenge of the Seven was revealed, and as I said before, I was immediately interested. Probably because I was shocked at seeing Saga get a budget. And the more I saw of it, the more excited I got. And when I saw that the devs were Zine, the same devs as the Trials of Mana remake, I just knew deep in my mind that this could be a Saga game that people actually want. Not like this poor excuse of trash that for some reason is still $50 fucking on Steam. Let's take a look at Revenge of the Seven and discuss why I think the future of the series is looking very bright. Revenge of the Seven actually has two stories, presented as the past and as the present. Speaking on the present first, you start the game as King Leon, ruler of Avalon, as he goes through training with his son Gerard. Suddenly, his home is attacked and Leon's eldest son, Victor, is killed in battle by Kazinsi, one of the fabled seven heroes. Wanting revenge, Leon and his son storm Kazinsi's fortress, only for Leon to be slain. On his deathbed, using magic taught to him by a mysterious woman, Leon bestows upon Gerard inheritance magic, granting Gerard all the knowledge and abilities of his father. This magic can also be used to repeat the process on all of Gerard's heirs, meaning that every new heir will obtain all the skills and knowledge of every heir before them. Gerard must not only get revenge on the foe that has killed his brother and father, but go out into all the territories and defeat the seven heroes to save the world. I find the story of the present to be basic. There's not really much depth throughout the game outside of defeat the bad guys and save the world. You'll learn about different regions in the game and be presented with various side stories, but I didn't really find much weight to almost any of the lore in the world. It's all very cut and dry, and I'm not saying this is a terrible thing, but I didn't really find it that interesting. Also, you shouldn't expect some sort of character development from your emperors or almost any ally. When you start the game as Leon and Gerard, they are given personalities and uniqueness, but as soon as you pass the torch, any succeeding emperors do not get the same treatment. Their stories are just, I am the emperor and I have to beat the seven heroes. That's it. But some important questions. Who are the seven heroes? Why are these legendary good guys wanting to attack the world they defended? Well, I can't really explain this as it would lead to complete story spoilers, but their tale is told through the past storyline of the game. Throughout the world, you can discover the several memories of the seven, which will show each of the seven heroes and their motivations, as well as what led them to turn. The only problem with this is, the entire story of the seven heroes is technically optional. To acquire these memories, you will find these statues scattered about, and you have to approach them and activate them in order to collect them. This means you could totally ignore them if you want to and play through the whole game without ever knowing why these heroes of legend turned heel. I don't agree with this, and I think it's a dumbass way to tell critical backstory. A villain's complexity and the vital history of the world you are in should not be at the mercy of a player deciding to go out of their way to discover statues. These memories should have been interjected as mandatory viewing. Like, maybe you get to view a memory when you pick a new emperor, or maybe before you fight one of the seven heroes. It's as if the devs didn't think it was important enough or something. It's a very weird decision. Like, without knowledge and understanding of the 7 heroes, what's the motivation for the characters in the game outside of you're playing a video game and you have to beat it? I don't know if this is how it was in the original, but if it was, then I would still say it's a big fail. And just to touch on these memories of the 7, I think they're awesome and tell a good story. So even though you don't have to find and watch these, I highly encourage that you do. I would definitely say that the ball was dropped in terms of half the storytelling in this game, but my experience with the Saga games have been that the story isn't the reason you play these games. It's the combat and mechanics. The 2 most important mechanics outside of combat are the air system and the flow of time. As you progress and complete quests, eventually you'll be forced into a time skip, and you must choose a new heir to be Emperor. As stated before, their heir gets all the skills and abilities of the previous Emperors. But what makes a time skip interesting is what happens to the world. For example, say you didn't do a specific quest previously. Because of that, there may be consequences or new opportunities because of your decision. This makes the player have to choose wisely their course of action, because you never know when time skips will happen, adding a layer of time management to the game and replay value. These were welcome systems for me. Instead of a quest just being a list of tasks, it made me prioritize them in terms of what I deemed most important. I can't remember the last game that had me do something like that, and it was refreshing. I love how I could sculpt my emperors and create a plan of what I would want my emperor to specialize in for the endgame. This game just makes me think in ways a lot of RPGs don't, and it's awesome. But to sculpt my emperors, they have to be masters in the meat of the game, combat. Revenge of the 7 is a turn-based RPG that has its own great twist to it. Unlike a lot of other RPGs, skills are learned via glimmers, meaning the more you use an action, the more skills you could potentially unlock. The game will actually show you which action to use in order to unlock a new skill. What determines this seems to be a myriad of circumstances, like how tough the enemies are, what weapon you have equipped, what specific class is being used, and what level your chosen weapon is at. I love the idea of gaining new abilities based on what you're actually doing during combat. If I want to learn new magic spells, I need to be constantly using magic. If I want to learn new melee skills, I need to be constantly attacking. It makes logical sense. Other differences include item usage. The only items that can be used during combat are HP restoring items. Not only do they recover HP, but they also resurrect the dead, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. But each party member can only have 2 items equipped, which forces the player to be more strategic and take the combat more seriously. After a fight, HP is completely restored to 100%, but the character's BP, the pool used for skills, is not, which once again forces the player to decide carefully what actions they should take. Any RPG combat system that makes me have to take almost every single fight seriously is just a breath of fresh air and a welcome addition in my book. I mean, how many RPGs have you played where you're just mashing one button to clear mobs over and over again? For me, who's played RPGs for over 3 decades, that formula has gotten stale, so I'm super happy whenever something's totally different. Saga games have a mechanic known as life points, meaning characters have a set of specific number of times they can die before they are dead forever. Now when I played Saga Frontier, this was a big deal, but in Revenge of the 7, not so much. I think there is an intent to make it seem critical, but you can get around it. For example, if your emperor runs out of LP or if your party is wiped, you're then forced to pick a new emperor. Or you could just reload your last save. And since Revenge of the 7 is a modern game, there are autosaves you can load if for some reason you saved too long ago. Let's say one of your allies runs out of LP. Not to worry, just go back to a tavern and you could just recruit the same class. I don't know if this is how it is in every Saga game, but including LP in this remake just seemed to have been done out of tradition rather than something applicable. Like, if you want me to be afraid of running out of LP, then make actual consequences if it happens. I don't know if you get some sort of permanent negative stat boost. If somebody does know the negative consequences for running out of LP, please let me know. I love the overall combat system for this game. I love trying to learn all the possible skills and magic I can. I love how the enemies grow with you, so there's never too easy of a challenge. I played this game on classic difficulty, which is the first hard mode you can select, and I embraced the challenge it presented. I constantly had to stay on my toes, think, and develop strategies. Every combat mattered. But don't fret, because the game has a normal and easy mode, and I will tell you, the easy mode is as it says. easy. Like, possibly the easiest easy mode I have ever tried. It's legit no challenge at all. Going back to the items in this game, one thing that really surprised me and that I enjoyed is that items and materials are finite, meaning you can't just go to a store and buy 99 of an item anytime you want. The shops will have a set amount of materials, and once you purchase them all, that's it. I like this because it made exploration have more meaning. We've all seen RPGs with items shining on the ground and treasure chests scattered about. Whether you pick them up or not didn't really seem to affect the game as a whole. In this game, those things matter. They matter because if a shop is sold out, you never know when you'll come across a specific item again. So scavenging and finding chests is actually important rather than just being tossed into the game because that's what RPGs do or whatever. I love that this game just takes everyday RPG things to do and actually gives it a meaningful purpose. Let's pivot over to exploration and the flow of this game. One of my favorite things from playing Saga Frontier is that from the get-go, the entire world is just open to you, and you get to decide where you want to go and pretty much blaze your own trail. Revenge of the Seven is no different for the most part. As soon as a town has a port that lets you travel, you can cross a sea, find a new continent, and just travel through most of it. This game will provide a list of quests to do, but you are not tied to doing them in any specific order. You get to choose how the story unfolds. This is a freedom in games that I worship. I get to create my own adventure. I get to decide the order of how things play out. This also adds a great replay value to the game, as with each new game, you can go on different paths. And yes, the end goal is the same no matter how you play through the game, but as they say, it's about the journey, not the destination. If stuff like this interests you, then Revenge of the Seven will not disappoint. Another fun mechanic in this game is the ability to build facilities in your kingdom and expand them. Facilities like a blacksmith to craft new equipment, an incantations lab to learn new magic, and even an academy where you can test your knowledge on the world and earn rewards. The kingdom slowly expands as time goes by with new emperors, so it gives you something fun to look forward to during each time skip. And if I'm being honest, any game that has any kind of kingdom or town building is just a big plus for me. I eat this shit up all the time. Graphically, the game looks great. I found areas to be beautiful, and the character models to look pretty good for the most part. Combat animations are badass and fun to look at, and the enemy designs are just sick as fuck. The modern soundtrack was great to listen to, and I enjoyed the ability to switch to the original tracks if I wanted to. Gamers that have played the original will know better than I if this remake lives up to the Super Famicom version. But as far as remakes go in general, I think Revenge of the Seven delivers in what one would want in a remake itself. Revenge of the Seven is a great game. It utilizes the classic Saga mechanics, has that old school challenge that I missed from RPGs back in the day, and has a modern enough graphical facelift to make it very appealing to the eye. In my opinion, this is what a Saga game should be in present day. I honestly think Revenge of the Seven has a strong possibility of making Saga relevant again, and I really hope this game is used as a starting point and blueprint for both future remakes and new entries into the franchise. Just please, Square, if you're listening, no more of this hot garbage. Have you played Romancing Saga 2 Revenge of the Seven? What did you think of it? Feel free to share your thoughts. Thank you for watching.